Hey everybody, it's Lula. I am so late and I apologize because Ed and I got our wires crossed. Oh shit. Till 9 o'clock. I never do that. I was supposed to wake up at 7. So bear with me. I'm kind of just like, it actually goes and lends to the day because it is rainy and it's cold and dreary today. So blessed Sunday. Welcome to Soulful Smudge Sunday. It's my third episode. Today our title is Redemption. You know, I have to tell you, I have to get personal, right? Because I'm going to be real with you guys. I'm going to be real. By the way, I apologize if I'm adjusting. I just threw on clothes and like I'm just trying to stay warm and I don't even know. I didn't do a pre-check or any of that stuff. So forgive me for being a little unprofessional right now. But Bob Marley came into my everything this morning and he's all like, it's okay. Like, I wasn't going to smoke weed or anything. And he was like, smoke a little, chill out. And I was like, okay. Oh my gosh. So, Bob Marley is our mascot today. And the most crazy thing was our subject is redemption. And I actually even put redemption song because there was so much energy that was coming from that. And at first, last night I was really tired. Actually, this whole week has been really rough. I don't know how you guys are. Hello, who's ever here? Feel free to wave or put something in there if you want to be seen. If you don't, I can't see you. All I know is that there's two people here. That's all I know. I do it that way because I want you to be able to be comfortable. This isn't. There's not going to be a test after this. um, but I have just been having like I just heard grab some crystals. Yeah, I need to. I'm not 100% right now. I'm not going to lie to you. This has been a really rough week for me. And because it's only week 3, I wasn't going to be like, "Oh, here's a past episode," which actually I was pulled to find episode 10 from my 28-day challenge last year, so I brought it up. I don't know who that's for, but if you're watching this one, might want to take a gander at that, or at least the description, and see if there's anything there that resonates with you, because there's medicine there for somebody. But anyway, yeah, so I'm going to be all over the place right now because they're all kind of like coming in. I'm going to open a window actually and get some air in here. I'm doing things a little bit differently on this one than I did last time, so it's okay. We got to just be fucking real, right? I'm winging it. If you're here, then you're meant to be here and you're here to support me. If you're here for any negative reason, nothing's going to happen to me because I am divinely protected. When I tell you that these archangels like Michael and Jesus and Raphael and Metatron, when I say they're my brothers, I'm not fucking kidding. I know I'm from that place. I know I'm from that realm and we are all connected. We are all one, but they are definitely looking out. So, you know, I hope that you wouldn't put people against this or myself or what I'm doing here because I am human here too and I'm doing the best I can as well. However, don't bring that negative juju here because I know. So just don't. I love you anyway, but just don't. Uh, so I have been struggling with this moon, and it's the last, as far as I can tell, it's the last eclipse, or as far as I read, it's the last eclipse moon till 2021. So we've got, I guess, at least 2 more years before we're going to see another cool moon happening like this one. And because I've been going through my own personal shit, because I am, I'm working out my human stuff too. Because I'm going through my own stuff, I have to admit, I have been really negative this week. Although I've tried to be positive, this moon has just like been pulling shit out of me. And I feel like, that old saying, when we make plans, goddess laughs, because we can plan and control as much as we want, but like there's so many outer factors that, we kind of have to be real about what's happening. And so it doesn't matter how much of a high vibration I want to stay on. If spirit wants me to go down some road, if I'm supposed to work something out, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm hearing you don't need onyx, you need turquoise. That makes sense. Love. Yeah, and understanding. So I'm trying not to cry because I don't want to make this all about me. You know what I mean? That's why I welcome you to pose your questions, because the more it's about you, the less it's about me, right? But I guess it's always about all of us. But yeah, ever since Ed and I broke up, and I haven't even like really broadcast it, but we're still living together in Big Camper. And at first it was easy because we're such loving beings and we're really kind and we've always been kind to each other. So we just kind of like took the sex away. And it was like, okay, well, we're still friends. We're still best friends. So we'll still treat each other that way. Well, come to like a month later, I can't. It's hard. We go on these little excursions or we do like whatever. And we've been together for almost 4 years. So it's so natural for me just to like want to latch onto him and be like, hi, and be smoochy and I love you and that kind of person. It's like, I want to do that, but that's like crossing a boundary. And so it's been really hard for me. And it made me realize like a lot of things that I don't want to get into because they're my stuff. It's my stuff. You don't need to hear about that. But I thought it was really interesting because I've been having all of these really bizarre dreams. I've been purposely playing like this lucid dreaming music in the background to kind of like help me sort out some shit. And boy, did I. Oh my gosh. And Ellie, I don't know if you watched this, but I had a dream last night that like Ellie and I got our own apartment. Ellie's married. I'm living here with Ed, like, but it seemed like Ed and her husband didn't exist. Like it was really weird. It was almost like we were in another dimension, another time. I think we were actually. This really cool old apartment, and like when she handed me the keys, I go, wow. I go, how do we make copies of these? And she's like, I don't know. And I remember looking at them going, how are they? Because they were almost like, there were parts of the apartment that had skeleton keys. And then other parts that just had this really pretty scrolling on like the top part. And I was like, would they be able to even put that in a machine? But the bottom part was like a more modern key. Anyway, just all this stuff has been coming through. So I kept hearing last night, revenge. And Spirit pulled me to get an indica, and I went to my brother from another mother, Justin at Dank's I think it's called Dank's Wonder Emporium in Lacey. It's like right Lacey, Olympia. Anyway, I love that place. Great bud tenders, and let him know kind of what I was going through and what's been going on. And he's like, "This is perfect for you." He always knows. He's like my guru. He knows exactly what kind bud I need for whatever. And so yesterday I smoked it when we were watching a movie. I went to bed before 10 and slept until 9 o'clock this morning. Oh my gosh. I needed it because like the energy that I've been going through, the pull of the moon with my own personal stuff, and then these dreams, it's like I could tell it's my consciousness working really hard, like almost in overtime, trying to get me to see certain things. And I'm realizing like Ed's great. Like he's been kind and he's nice, but he does this thing that he doesn't realize he does, that when he's trying to be respectful or whatever, it's like he just really closes off. Like he really closes. Like I could tell he's not being open with me because I know when we're fighting or whatever, he kind of closes that up, his Gemini way, and that's okay. And I know he has the many faces of Gemini, and he can go. So many people in my life are Geminis. I know them. I know how to deal with them. I'm a Sag. Like we're like the opposites of each other. But when I feel closed off from love from somebody, I go into this place of I'm not good enough. Remember, I don't know, I'm dating myself. I'm 47, but look up this old SNL thing where he goes, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. It was so funny, and he looks in a mirror. I wish I could remember his name. But it was funny, and I remember I used to always laugh about that show. But now it's interesting because I do feel like I have to give myself those pep talks, right? Like I'm good enough. Like just because he's going through his stuff and I'm going through my stuff doesn't mean that he doesn't love me any less. He just doesn't want to give me too much because I'm an empath. He doesn't want to it's like he's doing everything right. I'm the one that's receiving it from an old wound, from an old hurt. Yesterday, I'm going to post it on here. I didn't post it yet because I wasn't sure. Spirit told me to post it, but I was like, oh, but part of my therapy is singing. It's how I get shit out. And usually when I have the ugliest singing is when the most shit comes out because I'm crying and I'm whatever. I call it ugly singing because, it's like you're cracking. You don't care because you're just like, I'm getting the shit out. So I actually have been working on Shallow by Lady Gaga. The first time I heard it, I was like, the words like went through my soul, like, like it was just like, wow. And I fucking love her anyway. And I haven't seen the movie yet. Um, but just the whole premise and everything, and hearing the story about how A Star was born, how A Star is Born was made, how Bradley Cooper always wanted to do it. And it's a really great story. Look it up. There's interviews with them everywhere. But, and just the beautiful, like, everything was real. She wanted to sing real the whole, she's like, I'm a fucking artist. I'm a musician. Like, I want to sing real the whole time. I don't want to mouth anything. I don't want to dub anything. She's like, if we have to go back, that's fine. But she was just like, I want to do it as real as possible. And I was like, I love her, man. Like, she was like, I don't care. I don't care if it's not perfect. I don't care. And so it's interesting because I was about to record myself just because I was curious to see what I sounded like. Because I kind of did a different version of the song for myself. And so I went to record it. And as I went to find like the instrumental music or whatever, because I have my two phones, right? So I was going on the one phone and I was recording on the other phone. And it was just for me, I'm not going to show anybody, right? So then all of a sudden this other song came on, or I see this other thing pop up, and it was so random. And it is an old song that I used to play or used to, sing, but it hasn't been on my radar for a minute. You know what I mean? So it was just weird. And then I heard, "This is your song." And then I heard, "Play with Shallow more," because not that I mean, of course, I mean, it's a beautiful song, but I was curious and went online and I saw a few different people's versions. And then I kind of came into my own version of it. And I think she'd actually like that people are doing that. We're all artists, right? So we're all interpreting her song and her music from a different perspective. So I was like, I'm going to work with this one. But I want to still kind of whatever. So then the song comes up and I knew without a doubt. And then I heard sing it and record it. And I was like, okay. So the first time I started to sing it and record it, I was feeling this pull from spirit that I was going to have to post it. And I was like, why? Why? By like halfway through the first time, I wasn't remembering the lyrics. And I went back to find the lyrics. And basically, long story short, out of a lot of things that happened, the third time I went to sing it, third time's a charm. You know how like you'll hear something a million times, but then that one time you hear it and you're like, what the fuck? Like, what? And I was hearing it for the first time, but because Spirit said, I want you to sing it like you mean it. Like, I want you to hear the words like you're telling a story. Tell the story. Tell your story. And the song was called Ruin Me by the Veronicas. And if you know the song, I'm going to post it. Now, I literally like titled it Raw and Uncut because I was like, I don't know how I feel. Because there's like parts where it's like, it's really emotional, and I could blow those notes out, but it wasn't about that. It was like within like the second verse, I started to realize like, oh, motherfucker, like this is my therapy. And all of a sudden it was like all of these past hurts, my ex-husband, past, my ex-fiancés, lovers, whatever, like all this stuff started to crush through me. And the lyrics like just ripped through my soul. And I realized something really profound, and I'm going to get emotional, I guess. Because there's a part in there where I go, you ruined me. And I started to like this, where I was like, and I was kind of angry. And it's interesting because the second time I liked my vocal better, but I started to crack at certain parts, but I held it back. And I was like, no, I'm not going to cry. I'm strong, So I really liked the vocal from the second time. It was stronger. It was, but when I looked at it, I was so pissed off. Oh my God, I was so pissed off. And I saved it because I'm not sure if I'm going to post that one either, but I saved it because I thought, wow, okay, that's a lot of anger. That's a lot of anger. Like, where am I going, Where am I going through these doors in my brain with those keys, Allie? Interesting. Maybe that's something we're having a duality of right now. Like past hurts. Maybe yours isn't the same as mine, but these locked doors with these keys. Like, what are we looking for? What are we trying to work through? What are we trying to, what redemption are we trying to find for ourselves? For those that, we wronged. It takes two to tango. Every relationship, no matter what it is, family, friends, lovers, partners, spouses, doesn't matter. You know, it's like it takes two to tango. So anyway, by the third time when I sang it, it was so emotional that when I watched it back, I started crying. Only because I saw myself, you know what I mean? And I saw how hurt I was. And I remembered who I was thinking about in those moments because I realized that song was like, I needed to work through that, you know? So I'm going to announce it more later, but I landed a house sitting gig in Portland, Oregon, and I will be there from mid-February until March, towards the end of March. So I will post specific dates and things as it gets closer. But it's really interesting to me because Ed and I are going to have some time apart, and we really need to because it's so hard when you're still in love with somebody, but you know that you're just not right for each other at that moment. You're just not supposed to be together at that time. And redemption song is important because we are not the sum of all of our deeds. And because I don't want to get too personal anymore, I asked Spirit to give me things to read. So I wanted to look up redemption. I just realized my tissues are on the other side. Hold on. Do I have one up here? Excuse me for a second. Okay. There we go. All right. Pardon me for being so real today. Maybe that's the way it was supposed to go, you know? Of course that's the way it was supposed to go. They're like, of course it was. So redemption, if you look up the meaning in the dictionary, it says the action of saving or being saved from sin, error, or evil. And I was like, geez, wow, that's pretty heavy. And then I started reading this other thing, and it said in Christian theology, redemption, which derives from Greek, I'm probably going to destroy this, all my Greek people, Tina, apolutrosis, hope I'm saying that right, refers to the deliverance of Christians from sin. In the New Testament, the redemption word group is used to refer both to deliverance from sin and freedom from captivity. Right? I know. Are you getting that too? Because I'm getting the what? Yeah. So then I went a little further. And somebody had put in there, what does it mean to have redemption? And someone responded, well, redemption is the buying back of something. You might try for redemption by attempting to buy back a bike you sold, or you might attempt to buy back your soul after you steal someone else's bike. And I thought it was interesting, but I liked the theory on that. And then it said the redemption comes from the Latin word redimere. I don't know if I'm saying that right. A combination of re and then d in parentheses, meaning back, and amir, meaning buy. So I like that, you know, stealing back something. Like, I don't know if I like the stealing part, but I know what they're saying. For me, this whole week has been about soul retrieval. My friend's house who I'm going to house sit at, I was saying to them earlier this week, I'm like, that's so crazy. I go, soul retrieval, because when it's coming up on my 8th year. In May, I'll have been in the Northwest for 8 years, and I was in Portland for 6, so over 6. And so I said, oh, I'm like, so much shit happened in that house because I started partying in that house after I moved here, you know, and I say partying because we were like, you know, we were all going through something. The owner of the house was going through a divorce. The roommate had lost their home situation and moved in with that person. And then my friend started dating the roommate. And it's like all these things and all these people. And we've all just became like, we were kind of like a little motley crew, you know. It's like that's where we hung out, that's where we cried, that's where we laughed, that's where we spoke of of our dreams, our ambitions. One of my favorite things we used to do is everybody get really fucked up, and then at like maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, when it was winding down, my friend Mel would be like, "Who wants to hear some poetry?" And her fucking poetry is like that kind of shit where people are like, "Woo!" You know what I mean? And like there'd be a group of us because she'd act it out, and it was like phenomenal. She does that with her burlesque now too. It's amazing. But anyway, so I just started thinking about it and I was like, wow, I'm going to be in that house. Like how that house has seen so many changes. And that's just in our group of people, my friend who owns it was there with his wife. And then before them, there were people and you know what I mean? So it's an older home and he's since remodeled it, now that he's gotten remarried and all that good stuff with our mutual friend. And so, it's just, the soul retrieval of it was so intense for me because I've been in there. I've obviously since I've been sober and been Lula, but I was Kelly when I first started hanging out there. I was party girl Kelly, man. You wanted to stay up till 5 in the morning and watch the sun come up. I was your gal. You wanted to party all fucking night, unless I passed out. But yeah, I kept going until basically I was told to go to sleep. I was that kind of partier because I didn't want to be abandoned. I had this abandonment issue I didn't even realize I was dealing with, and I've since dealt with. But just really cool, intense shit. So the soul retrieval, the redemption, that's really intense. So where do you need to have some soul retrieval? Look that up. There's a lot of great books, but I forget the title. And if you're interested, message me in the comments there and I'll find it for you. But there's one book in particular that I read when I was coming into my gifts and stuff from one of my witch sisters, and it was eye-opening. It was so there's so many soul retrieval moments I've had now, especially in the last 2 years. In the last like year and a half, I have gone home twice back to Chicago, once for 30 days and once for 33 days. So I really got to have some serious soul retrieval, and that was, it saved me more than you know. And I look at certain friends and family members and I see them still stuck in the same rotation, the same insanity loop. And I just, and I find myself getting pulled in as an empath, and I'm learning like how to deal with my family and my friends better. And, I set a new boundary for myself this week. One of my sisters that I normally love having her in Big Camper, and it's fine. But I realized with everything that's going on with Ed and I, and and Baba's here, there's three big energies in this small camper. And I said, I think we should make a pact, like nobody comes in here anymore until we work things out. Before, it was like Ed and I were cohesive, almost like one, even though we were individuals. It was like this like kind of symbiotic energy that was like really beautiful in here, that was easy for us to filter out. But because now we're kind of like singular, it's like we're not talking so much. We used to talk about everything, but you can't talk about everything with somebody who you're having problems with. You know what I mean? Like before, we would talk through our problems and then get to it and have a kiss and go to bed, or make love or whatever. But now it's like, this is different. We're trying to be respectful, and that's a really hard place to be. And last night I went to bed early because I realized I'm not fake and I'm not phony and I can't fake it. And when I call people out on their stuff, I'm not doing it to be a dick, and I'm getting better at trying to communicate better about that. My languaging, I'm trying to get better. It's going to take a little while. I've been talking like this for a long time, so I'm working on it. But I realized that, I am real, and I want to reach over and hug him or kiss him or say something, and I can't. And it's starting to make me kind of angry. So this last week, I found a lot of my anger was that I can't. There's a song by Beyonce. Well, not Beyonce, but Beyonce sings it, and it's from Dreamgirls. So I don't remember the original lady, her name, but she sings about I'm not at home in my own home. And I forget the name of the song, but it's so good. A lot of people audition with that song. Big belter singers audition for that song, like on like those singing shows and stuff, because it's a hard song to sing, and it's a really good song. And the lyrics are so fucking good because she's finally standing up for herself, and she's saying, you know what? Fuck you, I ain't doing this anymore. And she's like, I told myself I'm not going to drink any alcohol until vacation. I lasted 13 days, had a drink of wine, and then it's my favorite. I could not finish in my body. It kind of faded away. I wonder if there's a way for me to keep looking at it. Do I have to do something like this? All messages are visible. Some messages not as live chat. We're on that. Oh, okay, here we go. I could not finish it. My body didn't like it. Yeah, see? Exactly. And we'll get to that. Thank you, Lori. Thank you so much for showing up, and thank you for saying that, because I definitely want to talk about that. But, we get to a point where how much of ourselves are we sacrificing for the other person we're living with? Some people will be like, well, I've been with my husband for 20 years. I don't care. If it's not right, it's not right. Then you're, number one, you're just hurting yourself, and you're both hurting yourself and each other. That's number one. And number two is there is someone else there then. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with us. I don't know what's going to happen. But I know that if I'm meant to be with another person, I will. And I was so in love with this one person for like a decade. And when they came to me with money and they were available and they wanted to like start our lives together, I was like, not anymore. And I was like, you actually did me a favor, because I wasn't ready to be with that person, or it wasn't meant to be. I wasn't supposed to be with that person. Even though I still miss that person, love that person, miss a lot of aspects of that person, I know that we're in different places in our lives. And again, doesn't mean it won't happen later, but like right now, I was like, I would rather be alone for the right reasons than be with someone else for the wrong ones. That's from a movie too. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's so true. So redemption, I think, is personal for all of us. It's like, what am I trying to get back? What am I? And so yesterday when I was singing that song, I realized so many things like crashed over me that I was like, holy shit. Like, I had no idea that I was still feeling those feelings. And when you watch it, if you watch it, you'll see it's like I have these kind of like, you see like my revelation moments where I'm like, yep, and how long did I put up with that? Or how long did I deal with that? Or how long did I let that go? Because it was pleasant, and so yesterday I just kind of gave up, because there was this moment where Ed was just looking at me so lovingly for the longest time, and he like said something, and I just wanted to start crying and be like, this is crazy. I'm in love with you. Like, how can we not work through this, but I know that it's what he asked for. It's what he needs. He needs the space to work through stuff. And I'm like, that's cool. And I know that like we're exactly where we're supposed to be, but it is fucking hard. So I just went up and went to bed. I kind of gave in. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go to bed. And I slept from 10 o'clock until 9 o'clock this morning. And I don't remember the last time I slept that well. The indica definitely helped. But I realized like he was part of that montage of people in that song. And I thought, how much of my soul have I given away to these people, these men? How much of their souls have they given to me? And it's interesting, Bob Marley asked me to, I know the Redemption song, but I guess I never really, really listened to the lyrics, And so this kind of ties into the drinking, Lori, because I realized when I stopped drinking, I was so clear. Like right now, like I smoked a little like green, and I got this really, really good stuff. It's like really clear. I'm all over the place whether I'm stoned or I'm not. So that's something I'm working on too. My channel, because my channel is so wide, I need to harness it in a little bit better. But I'm working on that. But it's hard because I'm working through my stuff, and I realized January is a really tough time for me. I don't know about you guys, but because I go so inward and I'm working through so much stuff, it's like I only have so much energy for other stuff. I really do. I think that's, if you're really doing the work in January, that's why you don't really want to go out with your friends. You want to do things. You don't want, I was thinking my niece who had her baby at the end of December, I was thinking what a great time to have an infant. That cuddle time where you just want to be home anyway, you don't have to worry about being around crowds and rushing through the heat in the summer, and like the baby is hot, or it's like you just have like little snuggle time. And she lives in Michigan, so, but you know what I mean? It's like that kind of, that that energy that like you just want to keep to yourself, or you just want to share with your loved one, or maybe a few loved ones. But keeping that energy close is important. And I think what happens is when people drink, this is my experience, is that when we drink, we do open up, but we open up to things that are not necessarily good for us. When we smoke weed, at least for me, again, because I've smoked all different types. And I know some people, that's not your medicine, it doesn't work for you. Some people, alcohol is their medicine, but they literally can have like 2 glasses of wine or something and then like go into like a meditative state and not get drunk or not, bravo to you. It's definitely not my medicine. I love it, but it's not my medicine. But the cannabis works with my soul and my spirit. And this last week, I've been struggling because I had such a deep meditation with spirit, and I got to this level of consciousness that I don't really want to talk about right now because I'm still working through it, but it was so intense. The energy was so intense, which I just heard you didn't do your soulful smudge. I didn't, you're right. Um, I don't know how to talk about it yet. And when I find the words, I will. This is old growth cedar. At this point, we've been blessed with so many different cedar from old growth trees over the last month. I don't remember exactly which one this is from. Oh, it smells good though. I wish we had smell-o-vision. But the alcohol, it dumbs us down. The cannabis connects me to spirit. And what I realized this week, because I've been trying to quit, and every time I try to quit, spirit will be like, no, we just need to change. It's like changing your medication. Like sometimes I'll have a certain weed for a little while, and then I just feel like it's not serving me anymore. I'm like, I don't feel like getting high. I don't feel like feeling like that. And so this week I had this one that kind of like pulled me out of my body. And what I realized is that I need that because I'm such a high level empath, and I say it like that, and I don't say it with ego. I don't know how to explain it or put it into a language any other way. And because I've worked with so many other shamans, gurus, whatever you want to call them, who have worked with so many healers like myself, and they're like, you are literally the most sensitive one I've ever met in my life. So I know that I definitely run on a completely different frequency than a lot of people. So for me, when I smoke weed, it's like because I already live between the spirit world and the human world and the fray, it kind of helps pull me more to the spirit world while I drag my meat sack around. Because my meat sack can only handle my beautiful biological body can only handle so much energy from the outside world. And the more my frequency is getting higher, the less I really, really can handle it. So I don't even want people in my space anymore. I don't want to, like I'm really excited to be in this house and be on my own for a while and see how that energy goes, because there's cats, but their cats are amazing. They have great energy, and the house has good energy. They're like intelligent artists, you know what I mean? So it's like there's a really cool vibe there. And, and also I'll probably smudge anyway just to kind of bring my energy in and all that. But you know what I mean? It's like I'm realizing how much I really like. I can be in Portland as long as I'm in a place of like a sanctuary, a place where I can really look out for my energy. Because the last time I was there, um, a lot of myself and a lot of people around me were going through a lot of changes and a lot of things were going on. And so our energies were just kind of like chaotic, and they were like bouncing off of each other. Where this time I get to control that, which is really good. And I don't say that in like I get to control it. It's like, no, I mean, I get to finally realize like who I am, alone, away from everybody, away from Ed, away from Baba even. And I thrive when I care for something. So I get to care for this beautiful home. I get to care for these beautiful animals. And then I get to go out and play with my friends and my family that are there. And I'm going to see if I can hook up some readings while I'm there, some work while I'm there. But anyway, I digress. So Bob Marley wants me to get back to this right now. So these are the lyrics for the Redemption song. Now, they're from the internet, so I don't know if they're perfect or not, but it says, old pirates, yes, they rob. I sold to the merchant ships minutes after they took I. So he's saying I. And so you gotta think of it like Bob Marley. Okay, so we gotta read it like Bob Marley. Oh, pirates, yes. They rob I. Sold I to the merchant ships. Thank you, brother. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit. But my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? Because all I ever have are redemption songs. Redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. And you can hear a song a gazillion times, but then you like really read it and it resonates with you at that place, at that time. And then you're like, wow, okay, that's really profound. And that's how I feel right now. Because I feel like that's what I'm doing. I'm purging. And it's kind of ugly right now, which is another reason why I don't really want to be around a lot of people. Because the more I'm purging, it's like, hey, man, I don't want to hit you with my spiritual debris. I hit a lot of people with my spiritual debris over the last year. And you know what? And forgive me for that. We are all here doing our own stuff. But if I haven't reached out since then, it's also because I know we're not supposed to be in each other's orbits at this time. Anyway, so emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds, right? I'm doing the work. We got to do the work. We got to free ourselves. And that ties into the alcohol too, because if you're coming home and you're just like, oh, I just want to drink my sorrows away. I don't want to think about it anymore. I've been there. There ain't nobody going to tell me, ain't nobody going to tell me how to fucking party. I have seen it. I've done there. I bought the fucking t-shirt. I have the brochures. I've been there. I've traveled and partied. I've lived in different states and partied. I've been at 35 of our, 50 states, or what is it now, 51? I don't even know. You know what I'm talking about. So it's like, I've done it. I've been there. I know how hard it is. You're preaching to the choir. I have addictions just like you, but the alcohol is not your friend. If you're being drawn to me, isn't that easy? I don't know what happened, like out of nowhere. Just bye-bye. Oh my God, that was so crazy. That was a trip and a half, man. That was a trip. Wow. Talk about intense, right? Holy shit. I had to kind of readjust. So I think I lost my live people, but it's still recording, so that's good. You guys are back? Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. That was crazy. It could be because my phone's really full right now. But I'm going to go back to these lyrics, and if it comes back, whatever I was saying, because I'm just like, whew, it like kind of pulled me out, and I'm feeling a lot of energies and a lot of entities flying around me right now. There's some serious stuff coming through here. Okay, so emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. Mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, because none of them can stop them. And I know what he means by that, because it is linear, but it's like, when I had this meditation recently, when I really saw what I perceived to be the big boom, the beginning of consciousness, whatever you want to call it, that was another reason why I kind of fed into my depression. Because I was just like, I'm so fucking tired of this, man. Like, I was just like, really? Like, this is it? Like, this is it? Like, this is... And I felt really bored with being human. I was just like... And the more I get to know who I am, and the more I get to see where I've been and what I've done, it's not ego. It's just soul knowledge of being like, huh. And I know it's slavery and it's like fucked up. Like, of course I want to stay in my little camper in the middle of nowhere off the grid. I don't want to be part of this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be a part of something I don't believe in. And this planet right now, I'm glad to be here, but I realize I really have to like, kind of like, run between the raindrops, so to speak, and show up when I can and not, I haven't been called to do shows during the week. And I think that's why Spirit had me do this. So I would at least be in contact with you guys like once a week and have it be live so that you can talk to me if you want to, or ask questions if you want to, or say, hey, blah, 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 this is happening, what's going on. But other than that, I realized I'm like, I'm really going through my own stuff too. So this was a way for me to stay connected with you guys, for you guys to stay connected with me and with spirit. So, there's multiple reasons. And so Mr. Marley, he's so cute. He's like, all right, moving on. Okay. Have no fear for atomic energy because none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets? Seriously? It's interesting talking about that because I would, just recently was anniversary, the 3-year anniversary of Bowie's death. And I just can't even believe it. Like, I can't even believe he's been gone that long. And then I just thought about the whole slew, Prince, like, Lemmy, like all these like icons, and the icons that started the Christmas before, and like, and George Michael, like just so much stuff. Like it's just been, these were our prophets. These were our leaders, right? These were our truth tellers, our prophets, John Lennon. I mean, John Lennon's like one of my favorites. I'm like, he's every bit of Jesus. I mean, come on. Um, but yeah, that's what they want. They're trying to kill us through bad food, through not taking care of ourselves, through, the neglecting of self-care. And the week before, I was barely on the internet. I was barely on my phone. This week, I was like really drawn to it. I was really drawn to going out in the woods and hiking. And I went on 2 excursions this week, but I was doing everything in my power to bring my vibration up, because it just seems like the more I know, the more I want to be here. And and I'll be here. I mean, I'm just trying to get over being the crotchety old lady about it, that's like, "Rah," like I feel like the old lady on those cards, those funny cards that always had like some little comment or remark, some kind of snarky. I'm not. I'm like the most loving person, but for some reason, and August was like that too. And August is when I did my 28-day challenge where Spirit made me connect every day for 28 days. If you're new to my channel, go back and check it out because they're at the end. But there's some good stuff in there. I mean, I did literally 28 days of like different like healings and stuff like that. That's interesting. It's funny. Lori just said she feels a lot of buzzing in her head. Um, I've been having that too. Are you saying buzzing like because I've been getting this like the high frequency. I've been getting that like crazy and I researched it and according to the internet, it's supposed to mean you're leveling up, but that kind of makes sense because I have been going so in depth, like intensely. So that kind of makes sense to me that I could be, yes, yeah. So it means you're leveling up. That means you're trying to shed everything away from you that no longer serves you, or like that you're trying to get people and your job, whatever it is, away from you that's not on this. But then I sat with it and I meditated with it and I did my pendulum, everything. And after a few days, I was like, nope, no, I'm supposed to go there. And then Spirit kind of showed it to me in a different way and wanted me to understand why I was doing this and why last time it had to happen the way it did. And that was meant to happen too. You can't believe it, but it was, you know. Um, so yeah, so this is like a whole different thing. And I think, I remember about a year and a half ago, I was doing this amazing sound bowl treatment with these really powerful healers, and they had 9 singing bowls around experience. And that was body experience where I channeled. I just remember like it started to get blurry. See it, my eye, third eye. I could see the vibrational walls around. So cool. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God. And I realized I had to walk through this doorway. And I knew once I walked through the doorway that that's what I was supposed to go. And when I walked through, because my soul was traveling, I left my body into this woods and then I heard fire. And when I walked to the fire out of the woods, there was like this clearing and it was really fucking cool. And all of a sudden out of the woods around the fire came all these different entities. Different. I can't even describe them. I mean, I've never seen anything like it, not in a movie, not in a TV show. That like the council, like I knew that they were all of my people, my ancestors, my spirit guides, whatever you want to call them, God. I mean, it was just, knowing what I know now, I want to go into that kind of meditation. Oh, okay, so you're about, but it doesn't matter because we're all one. It's all the same. But it's just, and all of a sudden I was around all these people and I had this moment where I just got all this knowing from them. We were just all looking at each other, and we were kind of bowing to each other, and some were playful and nice. Most of them were pretty quiet and stoic, but such presence and energy. And I just was humbled. I was humbled. And that's when they told me, Lars, and that, that I needed to wake up and this was my job. And I was telling them how I was having a hard time as an empath, whatever. And they told me I needed to get so strong, and that then they took me out of that calm environment with them, and then we went into a subway. It was like New York at like 5 o'clock at night, and it was like busy and crazy, and I was like, oh, and I was like, oh my God, and there was so much energy because you could see people rushing, you could see whatever, and I was like, where the fuck am I? And I mean, it was so real to me. And I was sitting on this bench, and I was kind of sitting in lotus position on this bench, and all this was moving around me, and I could see the council, and people are moving, through them, and all of a sudden they said, if you can't meditate in New York subway at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You know what I mean? They're like, that's where you need to be. And I was like, holy shit. So Portland and Chicago and all these cities that I travel to, visit, whatever, I'm the problem. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing the work on myself. And that's because I'm still working through my addictions. Like, I just rid myself of sugar. Now it's the 20th, and so I've had 20 days of no sugar. And doing the organic maple syrup has changed my life. And I posted on my Instagram, there are these really great treats by Hail Mary, Hailmery, and they only use organic ingredients. They don't use sugar, and they use organic maple syrup. And I'm telling you, it's like 5 simple ingredients, and I felt like I had the most amazing dark chocolate cake I've ever had. And it's amazing how I didn't feel like I needed more. Like, my addiction was like, chocolate, more, But then, like, after like 15, 20 minutes, it wasn't like I was before. I was like, I need more candy, I need more chocolate, I need more sugar. No, I was like, cool. And then I thought, that's something like I give myself like a treat once in a while, or was gifted to me. That was given to me by a sister for my birthday in December when I was still having sugar. She was like, I don't know if you can still have this. We saw each other yesterday, and she was, I don't even know if it's still good. But it was still good, and it was amazing. So it's like, we just have to find ways to heal our our muggle body, so that our spirit, our entity, can connect to our higher self and connect to the consciousness. Because, like, I can't play the reindeer games anymore. Like, it's so hard. Like, I love going to my food co-op, but other than that, like, I really, like, I can go to the library because I put things on hold, and I can like go in, and if I don't want to, Ed'll go in for me. But I mean, other than that, it's like I've been like and like holding my energy so closely, so fiercely, and now I get the opportunity to heal myself, um, you know, in a place where Portland's kind of crazy right now, but it's also going to be in like winter where it's a little more quiet. When I went there, it was like pre-holiday, and like everybody's a little nutty cuckoo. It was like right after Thanksgiving, and it's still that energy, and I believe that I just have to pick and choose my battles. Same with Chicago. Like, I'm not going to go there in the height of summer or over the holidays or certain times where I'm like, ooh, no, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, I'll come when it's not so busy. But protecting our energy fiercely, and alcohol is something that really fucks with our vibration. It just does. And if you can find a medicine that works for you, that's great. If you don't need a medicine, maybe meditation's your medicine. I keep hoping I won't need cannabis someday. Mostly just because it's a lot of times I get it for free, or it's gifted to me, or it's gifted to Ed, like through tips or whatever. But the last month or so, I've had to pay for it, and it's not cheap. And, at least through the dispensaries, it's not cheap. If you find a good grower, I don't have a good grower up here. Anyway, so the last thing I want to wrap up with is the end of the song. So, because none of them can stop time, right? How long should they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We've just got to fulfill the book. Man, they were prophets, right? I mean, Bob Marley's a fucking prophet. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? because all I ever have are redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. And he sings it again. None but ourselves can free our minds. That's the free will. If you're allowing yourself to be controlled by what's happening on the planet right now, that's on you. If you're addicted to your phone, if you're addicted to the internet, if you're addicted to all these things, those are just your addictions. If the internet didn't exist, there'd be some other place for you to work out that energy here. Do you know what I'm saying? So the internet's really great for some things, but the truth is the internet is just a quick way for us to relate. Let's look at this. Like the other day, I was talking to a friend of mine who's in the Midwest, and I thought to myself, isn't that crazy that we're 2,200 miles away from each other? But this simple little contraption, all I do is put in some words and hit send, and they get it and send something back to me. The internet doesn't really exist, you guys. It's just us talking to each other. We're just using these things. We're using them to deflect our connection with each other. That's natural. So many of you, Lori, you and I know, like we'll reach out to each other and be like, hey, you know, like that one time you're like, oh, you need this stone when you travel, which I couldn't find it, but I still need to find that one, the yellow jasper. But you know what I mean? It's like, for whatever reason, we use different modalities to communicate with each other. We don't really need this. It's like Ed calls it his mental alarm clock. He doesn't need to set an alarm if he knows he needs to get up. I can do that too. This morning, the reason why I woke up late is because I said, hey, you need to leave by 8, you know, so I can get into meditation before my show starts and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, okay. So I didn't set my alarm because I can hear him leaving. I live in a 26 by 10 foot space. This is where I sleep. The door is right there. You know what I mean? So like, I'll hear it and it wakes me up. So I woke up on my own and I was like, what time is it? Like I looked outside and he goes, oh, it's almost 9. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I told you needed to leave by 8. And he goes, oh, I thought you said by 10. I'm like, no. I'm like, oh my gosh. But it was all meant to be. I'm glad. I'd rather have it like it dropped. And you know what I mean? Like for whatever reason, who's ever needing the message, whoever needs to hear this. I know for me, the redemption song, reading it to you guys right now, it makes so much sense to me. It's like, he was saying it then. I've been watching, you know, I was called to watch Mad Men again. Now I'm in season 7. I've been kind of binge watching it for like a month. And now I'm in season 7 and I'm really seeing like how it progressed and like, and it makes sense of like how I grew up, you know, being born in 1971 and coming off the huge controversy of the late 60s and the early 70s and all that's happening. You know, I mean, we're just rehashing that shit again. And then I was watching these interviews. If you can, watch some interviews with Lily Tomlin. They're hilarious, and I love their friendship, and I love like how much they've grown and talk about like where they were then and where they are now and how lucky they feel to be able to speak the way they are now, like to be so fresh, you know, on television and on camera. And how Lily Tomlin was asked to Time Magazine asked her in 1975. It was on Ellen. I saw this, and Ellen's like, you know, I'm curious, you know, and she goes, because I would have ended up like you. And it's true. She was just like, no, because they picked and chose their battles. They knew better. They were in the public eye. It's very different then. Well, it's not much different now, you guys. It's really not. They're still trying to control us. When Trump talks about, I don't want to get political, but when he talks about make America great again, what part about America has been so great? The greatest parts about America is us fighting for our freedom since day one. That's the beautiful thing about Americans, our resiliency. I don't know if that's a word, but it's like we are resilient. We're like, we keep coming back. I used to be like, I'm not proud to be American. I would get sick and my family would get mad at me because I'd be like, why would I be proud to be an American? I'm like, we're fucking horrible. I'm like, we just go, like, we're like parasites. We just like take over the world. And I would get really angry and my family would be like, you know, very right-wing Republican Christian would be like, how can you say that? And all these, in our family, we have people in our family who are soldiers. And I was just like, you know what? I'm like, I'm sorry that they died, but I'm like, it's sick that it even had to ever exist. Well, now that I'm older and I can look at it and see the patterns and look through history and see that, you know, my mom's like, we've always been in war. When I get upset about the Native Americans, my mom's like, the Romans did it. And she's like, and then she'll go through history. And my mom's very intelligent. She knows her history really well. And so, you know, she's like, we just keep replaying the same thing. Well, people like myself and you, if you're here right now, oh, that's so funny. I looked at the clock and it was 5555, which is all about change. Look up the number fives. It was 4-5. So we're at 55 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up. Um, the number five is all about change. I love when they do that. But yeah, thank you. Oh, John just popped in. Oh, we were talking about him. That's awesome. So we're bringing his energy, and I'm going to read this again. I'm going to finish reading this because we need to hear it. Hear it, hear it, hear it. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Whoa. Have no fear for atomic energy, because none of them can stop at the time. I love how they wrote it out. How long should they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Yes, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you have to sing these songs of freedom? Because all I ever had redemption songs. All I ever had are redemption songs. These songs of freedom. The songs of freedom. Free your mind and the rest will follow. Be colorblind. Don't be so shallow. Remember that song? Is that Salt and Pepper? I don't remember which group that was. I'm really dating myself again. But yeah, right? So it's our individual. So our homework for the week. Thank you, Spirit. Did you guys do your homework from last week? The what do I want? I figured out what I wanted. I indirectly found out what I wanted. All of it came to me. I prayed for it. It all came. I'm excited. And I'm also excited to see what happens because just so you guys know, I've already reached out to a few of my healers in Portland, and a few of my shows are going to be with other people. So stay tuned for February, March, because my show is only going to, our show is only going to ramp up and get better. Right now we're in quiet time, It was just a way to start the year. It was a way to get it started. So what was that, Spirit? Oh yeah, free your mind. Free your mind from control. Control of the government, control of others. I remember when I was growing up, it was always like, well, the government wouldn't do that. If you question anything, it'd be like, well, no, that's our government. They care about us. And I'm like, it was like, I was a kid and I'd be like, is this on? Because I'd be like, everything just seems so wrong to me. I couldn't understand. I literally couldn't understand. It was like, I saw so much injustice around me. So this week is freeing yourself of the injustices around you. Now, that doesn't mean for you to go off and be like, you hurt me, fuck you. No, it's your shit. If you feel like someone's wronging you, or if you feel like there's someone, whatever, you just pull yourself away. You explain it any way you need to. It's how they respond to it. It's however they respond to it is what they're personally going through. You're a mirror. They're just reflecting off of you, and it's so much easier for us to put our negative shit on somebody else and say, oh, that's your problem. Here, that's yours. You take care of that. You did that to me. You take care of it. That's not the way it works. No, because forgiveness has to come from within first. For yourself, the person, the situation, whatever. And freeing our mind right now is the most important thing we can possibly do. Is freeing our mind of that which no longer serves us and freeing our mind of slavery. This mental slavery, these habits that we've gotten ourselves into that don't belong to us. Or like maybe there's something in your family or something that, you just realize you're like, I really don't like doing that, or that's not really me. It's okay to change. We're evolving. That's what it's about. I just hit an hour. Have a very blessed week. If you have any questions or anything after this post, feel free to put them in the comments and subscribe. Because I'm at 49 subscribers. I'm going for 50. Who's going to be lucky number 50? If you're lucky number 50, put it on, and you subscribe, put it under here so I can give you a little shout out next week. Anyway, thanks you guys. Have a blessed week, a blessed day. I love you. Take care. Aho.